What's up, everybody? Welcome to At the Half of At the Half. This is a special moment for those of you who listen to this podcast or watch this YouTube page and you are Fumble fans because, look, the Fumble Squad is back. Sorta. CK2K, aka Chris Clark, is in the building.
What up?
We've been talking about this for a long time. The lack of Black anything as far as the higher up positions in the NFL when the league is predominantly Black is so over the top perplexing to me. I still don't really understand how that's even a thing. Let me just get your first thought on the fact that right now in the NFL, we have just one Black head coach.
Yeah, it's okay. You want my initial response?
Yep.
My initial response was like, I'm not surprised. Like, it's like, yeah, that sounds about right. Because if it was anybody, because Brian Flores did everything he was supposed to do this past season. He had a terrible start, but that was because of injuries. He finally had himself solidified his quarterback in Tua, and they went on a 7-game streak, which got him back to 500. Yes, they slipped up a little bit at the end, but he did everything he was supposed to do. Now, I don't mean to bring the conversation and bring that thing, but you know what it is. If it was somebody else that was not Brian Flores, you know that would have been enough for him to get to at least survive another year.
Right.
So because of that, I was not as surprised as many. My brain instantly went into what eventually happened. I don't know if he's going to get the job, but was like, Chicago.
That's what I immediately thought. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, Chicago. So I to be real, I wasn't in the whole outrage on Twitter and stuff like that because to me, it's just I'm just used to it in the NFL. Unfortunately, I'm just used to it in the NFL. So I'm looking at the next job possibility because if we go next season without Brian Flores as a head coach, then we got a conversation to be had. I'm looking at it like, okay, this sucks, but he's going to get hired again because I feel like he did enough. Everyone always talks about Brian Flores. Even before he was fired, people were saying all these high things about Brian Flores. We knew the situation was going to be rough in Miami because it's the Dolphins. They've never been a well put together organization.
Ever.
So if he goes this season without getting hired, that's when I'm gonna get irritated.
But at this point, I am making it the fault of the players because and I've said this before all the time, like as far as Black people, we have enough within us that we don't need to be asking, we don't need to have these whole campaigns to ask white folks to do better. Like we have enough within us that we can demand certain things and we can push the needle entirely on our own. And when the league is predominantly Black like that, these players need to start, and it's not just about.
So you're saying, got it. Okay, I get you.
Yeah, the players need to start standing up and saying, no, if I'm not represented in the head office, then we have a problem with me playing on this field. If I'm not represented, if I can't look at people who are in the controlling positions in this organization, then we have a problem with me playing on the field. Because that's how, every strike that's ever happened when you're talking about business, that's kind of how it went. We need somebody who represents us and who has our interest at heart. This is not beyond the realm of possibility. It happens time and time again. And when you do that, you're not just taking a stand for Black coaches, Black, executives, Black GMs, things like that. You're taking a step for the generation coming up. So now you're fighting this fight so they don't have to. And the fact that the players are just kind of like, oh yeah, it's unfortunate, and you're the majority, that bothers me.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think we're also competing with a lot of these guys taking care of family. So they're not going to look at it that way. They're looking at it in a sense where they're trying to make sure that they get themselves taken care of financially. And by doing that, sometimes it's by going by the dancing to the same tune that everybody else has been dancing in front of them, unfortunately, because a lot of these guys, their situations haven't been great. They're wearing not cleats of socks. Well, I mean, they do wear like padding and stuff that is uncomfortable and stuff like that to get to this point. And then now they're in the NFL getting paid and making sure they take care of their family, that they might not be strong enough. And that's not a slight, but they might not be strong enough to make that kind of stand because they're afraid that if they make that stand, look how the league's treated Colin Kaepernick. And that's going to be them next. But I got all this family to take care of. I got 28 kids. Because I'm, that's all. I don't know why football players, the ones that have a whole organization of kids. I don't know what it is about football
The
players,
fact that you
but
said 28 kids, like, so smooth. I got
yeah,
28
man,
kids.
it was crazy. I could come up with 2 names where they got like that many kids. I don't know if it's 28, but you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think because so in theory, like for sure, I think you're right with that. You've been making that stance as long as I've known you, and I love that. But then when you put your mind in the mind of these football players, I can see why they're scared to make that adjustment.
So if the players can't make it, and obviously whatever rule the NFL imposes, because even with the Rooney Rule, I think last season there was a ton of teams that didn't even interview a person of color at all for any of their open positions. So they're
For sure.
obviously skirting this in a way. So the players aren't going to step up and do anything. Us talking about it clearly isn't doing anything. So how do we fix this? Because the white owners don't care, and that's why I say us asking them to do better isn't a real thing, because if they gave a damn, we wouldn't be having these conversations. So how do we fix this?
I think at the very least, and this is the very smallest fix, I think it would have to be within these organizations themselves. Like, you know, these veteran guys that are most likely going to be brothers, they're going to be like us. That's when they step in. Like, unfortunately for Flores' situation, it's just a younger team, so I don't know who would be the one. But one of these guys to go in there and be like, yo, I'm the one that's making you money. You're not winning without me. You're keeping this coach, because that happens in the NBA. Like that's what ends up happening. A lot of these guys survive coaching like that, but I don't know if we ever see that in the NFL. And I just feel like that's the smallest degree. Like that's the smallest thing that you can do. But it would most likely work in a lot of these situations where, you know, these guys are getting fired way prematurely because, like we had mentioned, what they're doing might be good to some, but it's not good enough to them. You know what I mean? So I feel like at the very smallest degree, that would be it, where these players, like you mentioned, they need to start speaking up for their own coaches before they get fired, because you know that they're going to be looked at differently. Because once the reports come out, once these websites start writing about it, and then there's going to be grumbles upstairs. You know, if I'm a quarterback that's been on a team for 10 years and I'm a brother, I'm going to go be like, yo, look, I understand we didn't make the playoffs this year, but this is not on Brian Flores. If you care about my opinion, you care about what I do for this team, I'm going to say to you like this: don't get rid of him. You get rid of him, then I'm going to make sure I'm going to give you guys some problems. I'm a vet, so I'm going to get a job. I'm a Pro Bowl veteran. I'm going to make sure I'm going to be fine. You guys get rid of me, then you're going to be the one having the problem. So I feel like the very least, that would be the first step.